YouTube? Welcome back to another video. As you can tell by the title and the fact that I'm standing in my kitchen with a ton of food in front of me, today we are doing another little cooking with Kendall video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys what a very normal, basic meal prep routine looks like for me. Do I meal prep every single week? No, I'm not perfect. I'm the first to admit it. But every time I do have the time, money, and resources to do so, it really does help me out so much. So this is what a normal meal prep journey looks like. I just got back from the grocery store. I think it would be a little useful to go over everything I got, even though obviously I'm not meal prepping with my popcorn. I'm gonna be popping everything I bought up on the screen. So if you wanna screenshot it, it'll also be down in the description if that's easier for you. The number one and probably the most important step for obvious reasons of going into meal prepping is going in with some sort of plan, or at least having a rough outline. Just having a list makes life a lot easier and takes away any of the thinking or the human error, which we all know I have a lot of. So if I can simplify things for me and for you, that's the goal. So I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown of everything I got, starting with the protein, then going into the carbs, the veggies, the snacks, and the desserts. Because I do feel like that is almost like the order in which I rank things of importance when buying for my meal prep. First up, we have the proteins, the meats. In my case, if you're vegan or vegetarian, this is gonna look very different for you. I usually like to get at least 2 different options as far as protein sources, just so you don't get super sick of or bored of the meals you're eating every day. So I got some chicken breasts, sirloin steak. I have gotten asked how to pick out steaks from my girlies that don't know. I'm always a fan of sirloin. It is just one of the leaner or leanest cuts of steak that you can get at a normal grocery store. You'll notice ribeyes, T-bone, New York strip all just have a little more fat on them. So it depends on you and your fitness goals, but this is my go-to. Same thing with this. I get 96% ground beef. There are different percentages out there. It does depend what your goals are, if you're bulking, if you're cutting, if you're maintaining, etc. I just honestly think this tastes the best. I don't like super fatty beef. I have no explanation. So that's it as far as the protein goes for today. And then going into some of the basics of the carbs, which I forgot I put my little potatoes in the fridge. Okay, so little red potatoes. I also do have sweet potatoes. I kind of use these interchangeably. The carb and macronutrients are not very different. It just depends what I'm in the mood for that day. I also got little corn tortillas. Also, probably should have noted this before. It might be in the title, so maybe this is redundant, but I am allergic to gluten and dairy, so that is a common theme amongst all the food I'm gonna be making today. And this is the only thing that I really had to substitute out. This and the pasta I'm about to show you. Everything else is naturally occurring and wouldn't have gluten in it anyway. Anyway, back to this. I just got little corn tortillas, gluten-free penne pasta. I was born and raised in New York. Pasta is a staple. You will never take it away from me unless I'm in bodybuilding prep. So when I can fit it into my macros, it is fitting into my macros. To go with that, I do have just normal pasta sauce. I like garlic and herb. It's my preference. I used to opt for the healthier, sugar-free alternatives for pasta sauces. I'm not eating pasta every single day, so when I do have it, I rather fully enjoy it. A little sugar is not gonna kill me. Going into our veggies next, I am the biggest salad girl, okay? Every meal you're about to see me make, I somehow turn it into a salad. I just love putting meals over lettuce. And recently I've just been buying my romaine as whole hearts instead of pre-packaged salad. I don't know why. It's just kind of fun to wash it and cut it up yourself. Things are falling. The other fresh vegetables I got is just this mixed vegetable medley. I think it's called, a stir fry medley. It's just broccoli, carrots, green peas, and I think that's it. But this just makes my life easier. I'm a huge convenience person. Anything to make my life easier when I'm meal prepping, I will opt for, and usually that's in the form of vegetables. You'll also see what we're going into next. It's just a bunch of frozen veggies. I got frozen mixed vegetables, frozen Asian medley, which I've been obsessed with recently, and I know I could easily make myself, but it just tastes so good. And then just some frozen corn up here. Your girl is obsessed with corn, okay? Do you guys remember that meme of the corn kid? It's cold! That boy has nothing on me. I would eat corn every meal for the rest of my life if I could. Sadly, it does not have a lot of nutritional value. If corn had protein in it, I would be Arnold. There would be no fucking with me. Are avocados vegetables or fruit? Because I keep getting confused. No fruit should be green. My hot take. Anyway, fruit and or vegetable. I just got avocados. I also will not be showing this really in my meal prep. I don't like putting avocado on top of hot food because then it gets like hot and soggy and disgusting. So this I like to just keep in my fridge and just like add it to the salads or food once I'm actually going to like sit down and eat it. Huge avocado fan. Okay, I think that's it on all of like the whole food front, the important stuff. Now we're gonna go into some of the fun things. I got these Quaker Oats apple cinnamon rice cakes. Obsessed, one of my favorite snacks to ever get. The only thing that might top it is Skinny Pop popcorn. Love it. Honestly, any popcorn, as long as there's not like excess butter and oil being added, is completely fine. Then over on the dessert front, I got me some ice cream. For those of you who live in Texas, because I do believe it is a Texas only grocery store. Recently, HEB brand, which is like Higher Harvest by HEB, so good on the plant-based ice cream, so good. This one is mint chocolate chip, 0 sugar added, coconut milk based, tastes phenomenal, huge fan. The macros are decent, it's not like low calorie by any means, but this is just like one of those things I like to keep in my freezer and have when I want a sweet treat. Last up over here, we just have some sweetened sparkling water, also by HEB brand. HEB brand is low-key pulling through recently, so if you don't live by one, so sorry. Anyway, that is my grocery haul for today's meal prep. Obviously, sometimes my meals do vary. It doesn't always look exactly like this, but I do like to keep certain staples, like buying 2 or more types of protein, 2 or more types of carbs, and a bunch of just frozen vegetables. That way I know I'm making enough variants of meals where I'm not gonna get sick and tired of eating the same thing every meal every day. We'll also be talking while I cook, but I do wanna put it out there that meal prep is not cut and paste. What works for me will not work for you. And also, please don't compare yourself to anyone you see online. And I do realize that meal prep is a luxury, and a lot of people out there don't have the resources to meal prep for their week. So definitely don't compare yourself to other people. Meal prep does not need to be perfect or look a certain way. As long as you're putting any effort into what you're putting into your body, I feel like that is a win. So yeah, just wanted to add that because sometimes I even get hard on myself of like not being perfect enough with my diet, but in the grand scheme of things, as long as I'm fueling my body and feel good every day, that is all that matters. It does not matter if it is perfectly presentable and in perfect packaging and made 1 week in advance in my aesthetic fridge, because I am not that type of girl. Oh, the last thing that isn't in this is rice. I do like to buy my rice in bulk, so I just have enough. Like I didn't need to buy some today, but it is a huge staple in my meal prep and in my diet in general. Your girl loves rice, okay? I love rice almost as much as I love corn. I don't know if that makes me bland. I just love rice, dude. Like sometimes I just crave rice. Anyway, that's what we're gonna start with. So I'm gonna clear this all off and get to cooking the rice, just because usually that takes the longest. To make my life easy, I like to just cook my rice in a rice cooker. So in here, I already have 2.5 cups of jasmine rice that I rinsed until the water ran clear. And now I added the proper amount of water, and these are the things we're adding to it before popping it in the rice cooker. I have recently discovered rice vinegar. Obsessed, makes rice taste so good. I don't add a lot of it because there are some added carbs and sugars in this. I just do like the tiniest of splashes to give it a little bit of a different flavor. And then all I add on top of that is some sea salt and some garlic powder, a good amount of garlic powder. You'll realize I use a lot of this, hence the giant container. Just plugging in the rice cooker back here, we're just gonna pop this bad boy in there and let it sit until it's cooked. I added water to a pot and put it on high heat, and it honestly started boiling very quickly, so we're gonna handle this now, even though we were gonna wait a minute for this step. But I'm just gonna add in my gluten-free pasta and set a timer on my phone for 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna be keeping an eye on the pasta and stirring it periodically, but while we wait for that to continue cooking, we're gonna handle the potatoes. We're gonna cut up both the red potatoes and the sweet potatoes right now and put them into separate bowls because I am going to be cooking them separately and seasoning them differently, but I'm doing both of them in the air fryer. So we're gonna do the red potatoes first, pop those in, sweet potatoes second, pop those in when these are done. Hopefully that makes sense. For my red potatoes, I like to just cut them into fourths. I feel like this is kind of like boring and repetitive, and I also don't even know if you guys can see what I'm doing from there, but I'll give you a nice little cinematic potato shot in a second. One of my absolute favorite parts of cooking is doing any sort of chopping or peeling. I feel like it is just so incredibly satisfying. Like I could do this all day. I could chop potatoes like this all day, no complaints. Am I doing it right? Probably not. Are you guys gonna yell at me that I'm gonna chop off a finger? Probably. But that is okay, because I am no chef. Also, I literally had a full set on today and ripped them off right before filming this, and now you guys have to see my absolutely crusty, dusty nails, and I am so sorry for ruining your day like that. Our potatoes are all chopped up. Typically, I would do like a light spray of avocado oil before adding the seasoning just to make sure it sticks, but since they're still pretty damp from when I just washed them, we're just gonna add the seasoning right on top and hope it doesn't all fall off. Going back in with garlic powder, I told y'all you're gonna see a lot of this video. Then some of this Dano's seasoning. I don't even know what's in this, I just know it tastes good. And then just doing a little bit of Slap Ya Mama. I love this brand name so much, genius marketing. And it's basically just salt, red pepper, black pepper, and more garlic. Now we're gonna go in with the grabbers and mix this all up so that the seasoning is as evenly dispersed as we can get it. We're gonna transfer these over to the air fryer where I've already lined my basket. Also, I don't know where we got these because our roommate got them and I steal them sometimes, but I'll ask him. Lifesaver, it makes cleaning your air fryer so much easier. And we're just gonna dump these bad boys right on top and pop it in the air fryer. I have not mastered red potatoes yet. I feel like I make sweet potatoes far more often, so I know like exactly my settings. So I'm gonna put it in at 385 for about 15 minutes, but I'm gonna be checking it every 5 minutes or so just to make sure they don't get burnt or overly crispy. Like I said, we're just gonna prep the sweet potatoes right now. I'm not gonna be putting them in until the red potatoes are done, but that doesn't take that long. So just so I have these ready, I'm basically doing the exact same step, except instead of cutting it into fourths, I'm gonna be doing like really thin circles. I found that just like cooking them this way gets them really crispy. I'm so sorry, I'm using like a glass cutting board, which is so loud. I'm gonna try to like softly cut these so you don't hear loud banging. I just found that like cutting them really thin and throwing them in the air fryer with just garlic and salt makes them so good. It just gets them like really crispy and almost French fry-like. And I've actually done the same method, but cut them like vertically, like lengthwise, almost French fry shaped. And they're really good like that too. For today, we're doing the circles because honestly, it's easier and faster. I want to hear a consensus, okay? I had to Google this because I thought maybe I was like a psychopath and not supposed to eat it and that it was gonna kill me because I'm a hypochondriac and that's what I think when I eat things that I don't see other people eat. But I love the skin on sweet potatoes. Like if I'm having like a steamed sweet potato where it's like soft and mushy, I love the skin. Please comment down below if you also eat the skin on your potatoes or if you peel them off, because every time I see people peel them off, I'm like, oh, am I not supposed to eat that? But according to Google, the skin is okay to eat. I don't think it's necessarily good for you, but I don't think it's bad for you as long as you're washing it. Anyway, I'm gonna do the rest of the sweet potatoes and then I will see you when it is time to season them. I am gonna give a light spray of some avocado oil. Then going in with the garlic powder. Not quite as heavy-handed on these since I do like sweet potato just completely plain. This is just adding a little something to them, and then some sea salt. I'm honestly kind of ashamed that this is the only sea salt we have right now. I do prefer like pink Himalayan salt. Sea salt is the second best option, but this one's like really chunky, but it's all I have. So we're making it work. I'm gonna mix this all together and then put it off to the side. We'll be putting this in the air fryer in about 8 minutes when the red potatoes are done. Okay, and then because I am the multitasking queen, while I was cutting my sweet potato, my timer went off for my pasta, so I took it off. This pot's completely empty and just sitting on low heat. I'm gonna add in our sauce, as well as some garlic powder and a little bit of black pepper. Just gonna mix this up, incorporate it all, and then add our pasta right on top. I'm just gonna fold this into itself a few times and then take it off of the heat. And then I'm just gonna put this off to the side until I'm ready to portion everything out and add the protein. Our little potatoes just finished and they are the perfect level of crispy. Like I love a good outer crunch to a potato. So similar to the pasta, I'm just gonna put this in a big bowl and leave it out to the side until I'm ready to portion everything out. I kind of want to taste this one, even though I know it's gonna literally burn a hole through my esophagus. Oh my God, it's so hot. This is a bad idea. Oh, it's hot. Oh my gosh, it burns, but it tastes so good. Now that the air fryer is open, I'm adding in my sweet potato. I am gonna drizzle just like a little bit more salt and garlic on top since I have a ton of pieces here that are definitely lacking seasoning. And then I'm gonna pop this in the air fryer at 400 degrees again for 15 minutes and again checking it every few minutes just to make sure I'm not overcooking them. And at the same time, look at us. This is where multitasking can get you, okay? All of our carbs are literally about to be done at the same time. My rice cooker just went off, that it is finished. It is nice and full. Rice is the one thing, for those who don't know, gets bacteria, like really deadly bad bacteria, very quickly if you leave it out. So I am gonna put this into a big container and put it in the fridge until we're ready to portion out our meals. I know I'm multitasking like a crazy lady, but honestly, multitasking helps my ADD ass actually stay on task and stay in the kitchen and get everything done at once. I am one of those people where like, I'm lazy. I am the most active lazy person you will ever meet, but I am indeed lazy. And while I love cooking, I don't love spending like 5 hours out of my week trying to meal prep and get meals ready for myself. And I feel like multitasking and like showing you guys that this is like the method that works for me is proof. Like we are, I'm not exaggerating, 25 minutes into meal prepping and we're already over halfway done. Like all of our carbs are done. The sweet potatoes have a few more minutes, but like just like 1 hour, 1 day a week to allocate to cooking some healthy meals for your week. You obviously don't have to go as balls to the wall crazy and diverse as the meals I'm making today. But if you could allocate even just like an hour once a week to prepping some of these meals for yourself, it really isn't that much work and really doesn't take that much time. Next up, we have the chicken breast. I'm just gonna be cubing this. So I start by just cutting it long ways and then going in and making them like, I don't know, 1-inch little cubes. Kind of similar to the way I prepared the potatoes. I'm just gonna season them all in this bowl together and then we'll be adding it to a pan on the stovetop. There are a million different ways to prepare chicken breast. This is just my favorite. I feel like it's the best way to just like coat every piece with like a decent amount of seasoning. I'm very much so the type of person that has and will get the chicken ick, where like if my chicken tastes too much like chicken, it's repulsive. I like to really coat it and season it, and you'll see in a sec what I mean. It typically depends on the week too, and like what I'm preparing and what I'm having the chicken with, but I will usually like separate my chicken and cook like half of it with one seasoning, half with the other, again, just to add even more variation. But I've been really into the way I'm about to show you guys, so we're just gonna make it all one flavor today. Okay, and in this bowl, we're gonna be adding barbecue sauce. This is the one I'm using today. It's honestly not my favorite, so I don't really recommend it. I actually bought this to make like chicken wings with, but it'll do the job because we are adding other seasonings as well, just pouring some of this on top. Obviously, sauces have more calories than just seasoning, so this is a step I definitely wouldn't do if I was in prep or in a really serious cut. My camera died. Basically, all I added on top was some all-purpose seasoning and some of the Slap Ya Mama seasoning. Now I'm gonna mix this all together. I'm gonna spare you guys because it looks and sounds disgusting, and then we're gonna throw it on a pan over the stove on medium heat. Taking some avocado oil again and then spraying both of these pans because yet again we're going to be multitasking while doing our protein. Turning both pans up to medium heat. In this middle pan is where we're going to be adding in the chicken that I just showed you guys. We're just gonna pour this on top, and then this part always looks gross but weirdly feels fun. We're just gonna squeeze out the ground beef into this pan. And then on the ground beef, I'm just gonna be adding some garlic powder. Of course, are we even surprised at this point? Probably not. I'm also gonna be adding hot sauce. Our choice of hot sauce today is Frank's Red Hot Wings buffalo sauce. If you are a big sauce person, and that's something that's really hard for you to cut out or get rid of, and you don't know like what sauces to have, any sort of hot sauce is typically a very safe choice. Like this one has 10 calories per serving, 1 grams of carbs, less than 1 gram of sugar. So of your sauce options, this is definitely one of the better choices, is just any sort of hot sauce. And then the last thing I'm adding to the ground beef is just some lime juice. I feel like lime juice hot sauce combo is like wonderful, especially because I know I'm gonna be adding these to tacos, and that like citrusy heat on some tacos, so good. Okay, and then we're just gonna be mixing both of these up until they are golden brown and ready to be taken off the stove. My mom's like a really good chef, And I know she's gonna watch this, and I feel like I'm living out her dream of like being on the Food Network channel. Like, this is kind of fun. I don't know. I get why Rachel Ray does it. Also, fun fact, I was on the Rachel Ray show when I was like 7 years old. I'm not gonna share the details, okay? We'll save that for another time. But like, I wasn't just in the audience, like I was on her show. And no, clearly it was not for my cooking skills. This is how both of the proteins are looking right now. They're just about done. I turned both up to like almost high heat now, and I'm gonna let them just simmer for another 2 minutes, take them off the heat. Again, put them off to the side. Okay, steak time. I just seasoned both sides with salt and pepper, and now pan has already been sitting here on high heat with some avocado oil, and I'm just gonna lay these on top and sear both sides. These are pretty thin steaks, so I'm just gonna give them like, honestly, 3, maybe 3.5 minutes each side. Similar to chicken, there's like 1,000,001 ways to make a steak. And is this the best tasting, juiciest steak you'll ever have? No. Is it the fastest way to make it where it still tastes good? Absolutely. I feel like that is my specialty, is like, again, lazy girl cooking hacks. It's been close to 3 minutes, so we're just gonna give these all a flip and let them sit 3 minutes on this side. I'm not throwing them in the oven. I'm kind of just like flash searing them and then serving them like that. As long as they're cooked to an internal temperature that I can't remember right now, but I'm about to Google, then they're safe to eat. And if they're safe to eat, that's enough for me. Okay, I just wrapped up the cooking. I have everything laid out in front of me. Cooking all of this did take me around an hour, maybe a little bit more, but you do have to consider I was stopping to talk to y'all and to like move the camera, etc. So I think realistically, this would take like anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. Again, if you are somewhat decent at multitasking. Meal prepping is one of those things though, like the more you do it, the more you find your groove and like you know how you'd like things done. So it becomes a lot faster and easier to prep your food. I know when I was learning how to cook, especially like healthy meals, I would get really overwhelmed. I would have to Google everything to make sure I was doing it right. But now I've been like making kind of the same meals for several years, like ever since I got into the fitness industry. I keep my basics. And yes, I change how I season something or maybe like how I prepare it. But most of the time, this is like relatively what a week's worth of food looks like to me. Give or take the pasta. I feel like this is like a when I'm in the mood for pasta type of thing. Anyway, in my last meal prep video, this is kind of the stage we left off on, and I explained to y'all that sometimes I like to do this bulk style of meal prep instead of portioning everything out into like their own pre-packaged containers. And I still very much so agree with that. I think this is a great place to end if you're someone who either doesn't have the time, the space in their fridge, or just doesn't want to have to sit there and section everything out. It's been really handy investing in these like larger containers where I can store like some bulk made food. That way you can just store it in your fridge like this. When it's time to eat, you just take out the containers you need, make your plate, put them back. I honestly love this method. It also works really well for me as someone who has recovered from BED that doesn't like to measure or portion out their food. Because even though I'm about to show you guys how I do portion out my food, I don't actually measure anything or track anything. So I'm kind of just eyeballing anyway. So it's really up to you if you want to do that next step of like putting together your meals or if you rather leave it bulk style like this. Both are great options, totally just dependent on the person. Anyway, I'm gonna show you now one of each meal. We're gonna package it together and then I'm gonna do the rest off camera and show you guys how many meals all of these groceries made. I know I'm using a 1 cup measuring cup. I am not measuring. I am just using this as a scooper because I used it when I was cooking my vegetables, but it's still relatively clean. So like why dirty another spoon, you know what I mean? In this meal, it's gonna be our chicken and rice meal. So I'm just gonna do 1 big scoop of rice and then a large scoop of chicken and then adding some vegetables to this side. That's what a very basic average meal looks like. We're just gonna close her up and move off to the side. The second meal we're making is gonna be for our tacos. You'll kind of see a theme that I still only roughly meal prep. Like I'm not putting absolutely everything into each of these containers. They're just used as a catalyst to make it easier when it is time to eat my food. I'm adding my beef, a little bit of rice, but not quite as much as I was adding to the chicken meals. And then I'm just gonna be throwing 2 or 3 corn tortillas off to the side over here. And don't worry, I'm not eating this as is. I will definitely be heating up these tortillas when it's time to eat these, but just to package this like this will make my life so much easier where I just have to now take it out of the fridge, throw these on the stovetop, and then put it all together with some sauce on a plate. Again, I know I sound like a broken record, but meal prep is truly just here to make your job easier. So even though these meals aren't like 100% done, and I may be adding something like avocado or lettuce or sauces on top of these things, it's still making the bulk work of cooking and meal prepping so much easier. This next meal is one of my favorites. We're just gonna be doing some sweet potato along with some steak and some veggies on the side. One of my favorite things to do with this meal is turn it into a plate with a Caesar salad. That is like the best combo ever. Next meal we're doing are some of the small roasted potatoes with some chicken and some veggies, of course. Okay, that is a wrap on the meal prep. I ended up making 15 meals total, and they ended up honestly being a mix of all the meals I showed you. I feel like you can't go wrong with like steak and potatoes, steak and rice, chicken and potatoes, chicken and rice, so on. And even though it only made 15 meals, which granted is quite a lot, some of these I almost just dropped this entire thing. Some of these are filled to the absolute brim and honestly are like 2 meals worth of food, or like a meal and a half. And I've said it a million times on this channel, but your girl is like a snacker and a grazer more than like a sit down with a large meal type of person. So some of these meals I'll like sit down, have half of, put it back in the fridge, have half later, etc. You get the point. Anyway, I hope you guys really enjoyed this style of video. Please let me know if you did by dropping a like or a comment. Let me know. Your girl loves some feedback, as long as it's positive. If it's something you did enjoy, I am happy to film more of these in the future with some different meals, obviously, to show you more of a range. Also, if you have any specific food or meal prep questions, please drop them in the comments below. I would love to make a video where I do meal prep, but just spend the time answering your questions or giving any sort of food advice. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys got some food or meal prep inspo from this. I love you guys so much, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.